All right, so in this week's lesson, we're going to be looking at electric blues, which is kind of up-tempo. It's got a little bit of a shuffle. It's so much fun to play. You're going to have a blast with this, and it's really not that difficult because it's just the major and minor pentatonic scale. That's all it is in terms of theory. It's just blending those two scales. So we're going to talk about how to do that, and I'm going to give you examples of how to do that in different areas of the fretboard. So in this video, we're going to go through the first half of that lead. If you'd like to watch the part 2 video, download the tab PDF file, access the on-screen tab viewer, which has tab and video on the screen at the same time. It's interactive. There's no talking in it, but it's just a quick way to get right to the specific notes. And also get the MP3 jam track, which I have in multiple tempos. I have the slower version of it as well. So you can get all those extra materials for this lesson by going to activemelody.com and doing a search for EP640. Okay, so before we get into the notes, let's just talk through the chord structure real quick. This song is played in the key of E, and it's not your typical 1-4-5 blues. It is a blues, but it's got some extra chords in it, which give it, kind of a different feel. So I want to talk through these so that you can think about these if you're writing your own stuff. So the 1 chord is your E, then it goes to the 4 chord, which is our A. Then it goes to the 4 sharp diminished 7, which is a nice little tension chord, creating that tension, and then you release the tension by going back to the 1, which is your E. And then watch this little turnaround. So what we're doing for that is the 6 major, the 2 major, the 5, and the 1. So it's a 6, 2, 5, 1, but the 6 and the 2 are major. And I know for those of you that are theory buffs and you live in theory world, you go, wait, you can't do that. The 6 and the 2 are always minor, and they are by default, but you can make them major, and this happens in music all the time. And just remember with this theory stuff that sound always trumps theory. If it sounds right, it is right. Okay, so this starts with a turnaround that goes, and actually I don't play that. That would be sort of what the rhythm track's doing, but I'm going something like that. Let's listen to it and then we'll break it down. All right, so this is a perfect example of blending the major and minor pentatonic scale. And we're going to be doing it down here close to the E shape. And so it starts with this. That's just a hammer on that. We're going to start with the open 2nd string, the B string. Hammer onto the 2nd fret, and then do an upstroke on the open 1 string. Those notes are notes out of your E major pentatonic scale. So just so that we have our bearings, we're working within the minor pentatonic scale pattern 1 and the major pentatonic scale pattern 2, which I'm just looking at the top 3 strings of it. So those two overlap in this area, and you can create so much blues. I mean, if you get nothing else out of this lesson, you got to walk away with all the stuff you can do by blending that major and minor in this area. So we started with the major pentatonic scale. Then we come up to the minor pentatonic scale on the 3rd fret 1st string and play open, and then 2nd fret, which would be in your major pentatonic scale, and then open. So far we have these 2 pieces. And just remember, it starts with that hammer on. So it's... Okay, so after this, we go back to the 2nd string and play 2nd fret, open, and then back to the 1st string. And that's the whole first phrase. Now that comes in on the 2. So when you're counting this in, or you're playing with the jam track, you'll hear 4 clicks to sort of start it off, the count in, and then it's 1, 2. And then we play the 5 chord, and I just played my B7 chord right here. And the 2 strings that I'm really focusing on, that I hear blues guys doing all the time, is the B note itself down on the 2nd fret 5th string, and then the open 2 string, which is also a B note. Now I've got the rest of the chord fretted, but those are the 2 notes that you really define the sound of the 5 chord, because they are those notes. Those are your 2 B notes. But I like to go ahead and make the full chord so that if I bump other strings, it's still gonna work. So when you put it all together for that intro, you have 1, 2. All right, so this next lick is blending the major and minor pentatonic scale. We're going to start by playing the major pentatonic scale. That little hammer on again. This is happening on the 2nd fret, 2nd string, 2nd fret. There's a hammer on, upstroke on the 1st string. And then watch this. Now when I go to that note, that's minor pentatonic scale. Hopefully you're seeing the overlap here. Minor, major. So the major give you the happy sound, the minor give you the sadder, bluesy sound. And when you combine them together, you get somewhere in between. You get just sort of a perfect blend of the blues. So I hit that, and when I hit that flat, that's the flat 3. Anytime you play the flat 3 in the blues, you always nudge it a little bit sharp. Not always 100%, but most of the time, you're always you're pushing towards the major 3rd. You don't get all the way there, you just sort of work towards it, and it just has a human voice kind of quality when you do that. So after I play that, we play the open 1st string, we go back to that 2nd fret, 2nd string, hit the open 1 string, and then watch this. And then I slide to that E note. So when you play that phrase, it goes like this. And this is kind of a call and response thing. That would be the call. Now we're going to play a response to that. But I love playing blues like this because it's like singing. It's like phrasing. I'm singing something. I'm singing a line. I'm telling a story. Now I can stop, take a breath, and I can play another lick and respond to that. And so that to me is good phrasing when I hear artists doing that. And so it's not a run-on sentence. I'm not just, it doesn't sound like I'm just playing a scale. I'm saying something. So now the jam track goes to the 4 chord, which is your A. And then it's going to go to that A sharp diminished 7 that we talked about. And what I played over that goes like this. It's the same thing, really. I'm repeating that same phrase. There's that same little major pentatonic scale pickup sound by hammering onto the 2nd fret, 2nd string. And then I go back to this minor pentatonic scale note, 3rd fret, 1st string. I hit it twice. And then back to the open 1. And then this is all happening on the 2nd fret between the 2nd and 1st strings. Like that. So when you put it together, you have. Now watch this. I'm going to slide back up to that 5th fret, 2nd string and hit that E note again. And this happens all the time in the blues. I got this idea from Jimmy Vaughn. If I'm thinking back to where I heard this, he'll do this a lot. Now he plays with a capo when he's playing, so he can do this lick in other keys, but he'll hit the open 1 string and slide up to it. It just really fattens up your sound. So let's look at the whole thing then from the intro. We have 1, 2. Now, there's the first lick. There's the second lick. You can see that those 2 licks are very similar. They're almost identical. Okay, so now the jam track is going to go back to the E chord, and then it's going to go to that major 6, which is our C sharp 7. And this is what I played over that. So that's a very interesting little bend there. So we're going to slide up to this 6th fret 3rd string. And just so you know where I'm at mentally, I'm thinking about the E major pentatonic scale pattern 4, which lives in this area here. But I'm just thinking about the top 3 strings. Everything I play in this lead pretty much happens on those top 3 strings. So I slid up to this E note here. And by the way, this should be another little takeaway. You've got to know this little area. I call this the triangle. I've done other lessons on this. I'll put a lesson up on the screen where I go into more detail about this area. But the idea is this E note here. Remember, the song is in the key of E, so we're going to be playing E major and E minor pentatonic scale throughout. Doesn't matter what the chords are. We're just going to be staying in the key of the song. So this is that sweet spot where you got your major pentatonic scale in this area, if I anchor that E note with my index finger. And that's all talked about in that lesson I mentioned. You've got your minor pentatonic scale, which you can pivot to in this area as well. But for now, we have this lick. So sliding up to that E, we come to the 7th fret then, 2nd string, still part of your E major pentatonic scale. Do a full bend, back down to your 7th fret without the bend. And then watch this, 5th fret, 2nd string. You're gonna push it sharp. Now that's the point where the song goes to the C sharp chord, the C sharp 7 chord. And when I do this, I'm pushing towards this note. I'm actually getting to that note. That is the 3rd interval of my C sharp. I'm going to the 3rd. Now, I didn't sit and map any of this out when I was playing this solo. I improvised this 20 different ways. And it wasn't until after the fact, it's like, wait, why did I do that? Why did I know to do that? Because I could hear. This is why I say sound trumps theory. If I was living in theory world, it'd be in my head the whole time and I wouldn't have time to sit and work this stuff out. But I know from this note, all I have to do is nudge that up to get to the sound of that C sharp. And that's what I did. And a lot of this stuff comes from that place. That's where improvising really comes from. Yes, theory is important to get your boundaries, but beyond that, you've got to start using your ear to find those little bends and things, or find the note to go to. I could have slid into it, right? Knowing that my C sharp, using the A shape, would be right here. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of hit that point there, that's that note. The reason that worked is because the chord went to that C sharp. But I didn't sit and plan it out or think it through. It just sort of happened. My fingers kind of knew what to do, and so did my ear. All right, so the jam track is cycling through that 6-2-5-1 that I talked about. And while that's going on, I'm not thinking about any of that. This is what I played. And I just walked right down the E minor pentatonic scale. Now I'm up in this position, so this would be minor pentatonic scale pattern 3. So that's where we're at. When I started it, I went. So that was a little chromatic walk down from the 7th fret down to the 5th fret on that 1st string. And just remember, you can play those in between notes. I can't stress that enough. You can do that all over the fretboard. As long as you're starting and landing on the right notes that are in scale, the ones that you do in between, as long as you use them as a passing note, you don't land on them, you can use them. So walk down chromatically there and then down to the 8th fret 2nd string. Notice I pushed that a little bit sharp. Why? Because I'm pushing it, that's the flat 3 of the E, and I'm pushing it toward the major 3rd. So we have, I stopped there, and then I kept going down E minor pentatonic scale pattern 3 and went, just walked it straight down the scale. All the way down to this E note down here. So, cool little phrase. All right, so after that 6-2-5-1, then the song does the typical turnaround, just like we started with. And I played something similar to what I did in the intro, but I did a different version of it. This time I went like that. So I'm starting out of this E shape. That's what I was thinking about, picturing was this E chord. So I do the flat 3 and hammer on to the major 3rd, which is the 1st fret 3rd string. And then I played open 2nd string, open 1st string. That's just my E chord, like an arpeggio of it. And then I came down here and went, so that's in the minor pentatonic scale for E, 3rd fret 2nd string, open, down to the 2nd fret 3rd string. So when we put those phrases together, and then watch this. To conclude it, to put a cap on the end of it, we do a little hammer onto that, the major 3rd again, and then do an upstroke on strings 1 and 2. So when you play it all together, and then we go back to the 5 chord. Same thing where you're hitting the B string down here and the open 2nd string. But you leave the chord in between because you're going to bump some of those strings. So all together, the turnaround there is. Now that's a great little turnaround, if I must say, and I stole that from somebody, but these are things that you'll pick up and you'll just use them. And once you get this, you can start doing variations on it. And then it becomes your sound. So you might want to do a different phrase or time it different or throw a bend in or whatever. But anyway, just try and learn some of these licks and figure out how to work them from a timing perspective into the jam track. Okay, so now we've made it through one cycle of the jam track. Now it's just going to repeat the same chords that we've already played over. So we're back to our E chord. So we're going to have some variations on what we learned the first time. So we're going to start off with this. That's the lick. And all I'm doing is I'm coming back to that second fret, second string. We started with that in the first time through. And I'm doing a half bend there. So I'm pushing that second fret, second string to this note. Why would that note work? Well, think about it. This note is one of the notes in your minor pentatonic scale. This note is in your major pentatonic scale. So by doing that half bend, you're bending from major to minor. And so I kind of played off of that and went and did this kind of wonky little bend thing. I don't even know where that came from, but when I listened back, at first I thought, oh, that's kind of corny, but then I kind of liked it. It sounds like a lot of the blues stuff like this is kind of corny. So that's what I'm doing, is this half bend from that second fret, second string, pushing for the bend, release, but I'm picking each of those movements. And the reason you want to do something like that, I guess, if I'm sitting and analyzing it, is to give it a human voice kind of quality. It's not always locked in like a robot. Sometimes it's nice to be a little sharp, a little flat. That's like somebody singing, and I'm singing with my fingers. Down to the second fret, third string, and then do that little hammer on again, really just building the E chord. Hammer onto the major third, hit the open E string, and then watch this. I came down to the third fret, second string, which is our flat 7. That's the note you would add to your E chord to make it an E7. So that's all I'm doing, is I'm just kind of building that chord. Okay, so then the song goes back to the A chord, and I play this. Here's your lick. Now, why did that work? Why did that fit so well over the A? Well, look at these first two notes. Those are two notes, two of the three notes out of your A major chord. You have the third, and you have the root, your A note. And here's what I'm picturing when I do that. There's my A chord using the E shape. So if I played strings 3 and string 1, that's where that's coming from. So when you start thinking of chords this way, they just start flowing into your lead. You start seeing them. So if I was playing a B chord, I've got one up here. I could go. You can hear that sound of that. And that's a great little thing to work into your lead. So after this, which really defined my A chord, I went right back to the pentatonics. So that's flowing between the minor pentatonic scale and major pentatonic scale in this spot. So we're going to go up to the 8th fret, second string, 8, 7, and then watch this. Little hammer-on pull-off kind of thing that's happening here between the 5th fret and the 7th fret on the second string. So it's a hammer-on pull-off, and then we come down to the 6th fret, third string. So when you put that together, you have... So just practice that. That took me a while to get, and I got that from Eric Clapton. He does that quite a bit. Okay, so after the A and that major minor pentatonic scale lick, then I went. So I did a half bend on that 7th fret, second string, release, and then back to this E note here on the 5th fret 2nd string. And I played this while the chords went from the A to that A sharp diminished 7. So I played that over the A sharp diminished 7. And the reason that works is because I'm doing a half bend here on that 7th fret 2nd string to this note. And that note is in my A sharp diminished 7 chord. So it's going to work. But I didn't think about that. I'm telling you, that's just one of those things where I know the fretboard and what sounds I can get out of it. And you will too, the more of this you do, and you just kind of know, oh yeah, I can get that sound by doing a half bend there. If I did a full bend, I would overshoot it. It wouldn't work. So we have. So then after that A sharp diminished 7, then the jam track goes back to the root. It goes back to our E, and then to the C sharp 7. And this is what I played over the E and the C sharp 7. Let's look at that. We're going to go up to the 9th fret 2nd string with my ring finger, and then 7th fret 1st string with my index finger. Now these two notes are in my E major pentatonic scale. That would be E major pentatonic scale pattern 5. So that's where you could think of them. If you're thinking pentatonic scale, that would be where I'm at. But I want you to connect that E major pentatonic scale pattern 5 to this, which is my E chord using the A shape. Here's the top part of that A shape. So if I look at the notes from this top part of the A shape, I have those two notes. So really what I did, I guess, this is a long way of getting here. As the song goes to the E chord, we go back to the root. I know that I can do this to represent my E because it's going to fit perfectly, right? It's literally in the chord. So I just walked it up to the C sharp because that's where the chords go. But I really wasn't thinking about this being like my C sharp chord up here using the E shape. I wasn't thinking that way. I was just thinking about the sound. So I knew my major pentatonic scale. I can sing with those pentatonics. I could literally sing with my voice. So I know the sound they make. And you will too, the more of this you do. So when I did this, I'm still in pentatonic world, but that note fits perfectly for the C sharp because it is a C sharp, but I wasn't thinking that way. And then as the chords go by, that 6, 2, 5, 1, I just went back down here to starting position and just played some major and minor pentatonic scale stuff. I went. So I started with the minor pentatonic scale, a note from my minor pentatonic scale, 3rd fret 1st string, slid down into the major, which is my 2nd fret, and then open, and then down to the 2nd string, 2nd fret. And then watch this, a hammer on between open 1 string and the 2nd fret, slid up to the major 3rd of my E chord, which is also in my major pentatonic scale, and then the open E. So all together that little phrase, that's how it sounded. And you know, that isn't the most clever thing. I honestly got kind of lost at that point, and you know, I flubbed it a little bit. You could tell I was kind of grabbing for notes, but it ended up working, and it's just like I'm leaving it in. That's life. It's not always perfect. And then let's look at one more of these little turnarounds. This is a great one, must-know kind of blues, and you've probably played this or variations of this. So we're coming up to the 4th fret, strings 3 and 1, and I'm thinking about this when I play this. I'm thinking about my E7 chord using that D7 shape. It's just another way to play an E7 using that little triad. But all I played was strings 3 and 1. And then I slid that down 1, then down to the 2nd fret, down to my E chord. So I'm sliding in on that third string by picking with my pick, and then I'm using my ring finger to pluck the first string. You don't have to do that. You could pick it, but that's just how I do it. It's sort of a hybrid pick. Slide it down, pick it, and then down to your E. So all together it goes. And then watch this. That's another kind of little Robert Johnson-ism. So while I'm playing the E chord here, I'm going to hit the second string, which is my open B string. My pinky comes down to the second fret, second string, and then it slides up. So I'm playing my E7 chord. So you could play the full chord, or you could just play that single string. Either way, this is the sound. It's kind of like the old, and many more that you sing, you know, at Happy Birthday. So all together then, I played that. And that's where we're going to end this part 1 video, because we've covered a lot of this information. Now remember to come join us for part 2, where we'll go over the rest of the lead, and you can download the tablature, the jam tracks, everything that we've talked through, so you can start practicing this. And I do have a slower tempo version of this, so that you can practice doing it slowly. I hope you picked up some licks and some ideas and just had some little connections. That's what I'm always hoping for in every one of these videos. Just something connected where you go, oh, I'm seeing it now, or I never thought of that, or I learned something new. If that did happen to you, leave a comment and let me know. I love reading them. I do read through all the comments. And if you aren't clear about something, you can always ask a question, and I'll try and get back to you. And if I don't, somebody will. So hopefully we can clear up any misconceptions out there. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this. Come see us for part 2 where we'll go over the rest of it.